Hey guys, welcome to another episode of my series Blitz and Talk, and I'm going to do exactly that in a moment because now I'm entering the Chess24 playzone. Here we are, and trying to find an opponent. So 5 minutes this time, and I've already found somebody. Let's see who it is. From Brazil. Alright, Varafirst. Let's go ahead and play game e4. c5, alright, Sicilian. And go for d4. Of course, open Sicilian. I'm mainly playing the main lines here, and I'm always looking forward for some theoretical battles. So the knight on the board, he plays knight bd7, and I reply with queen e2 here. Maybe he doesn't know this move, but it seems he does because he responded pretty quickly and he plays h6 g5, which is an interesting approach. But on the other hand, he's weakening his king side, and he's also weakening this square. So I'm exploiting this fact and playing knight f5, and he should have prevented this by maybe playing knight e5 first or e6, because now he's simply giving up this bishop on g7, and this is his very strong bishop who's also protecting his king, so quite an important piece for him. And I'm now immediately trying to open up files, as you can see. So now he's threatening to take on f5, so I take on g7. And before he closes down the h-trap playing g4, I also take on g5 here. Now queenside castle, threatening to take on e5, so he has to react. And he can play rook h8, unfortunately, because now after bishop takes e5, the rook on h1 is hanging. So I believe I have nothing better to take on h8, and now he can take with the queen. But still, I believe this position is favoring me here. This knight on e5 is a little bit unpleasant. I'll play queen e3. Now he has to protect the pawn on g5 some way, and it's not that easy to see how he's going to do. Play queen h6. Of course, he might aim to exchange queens here, but I'm not going to let him do this. And now actually, what about take on e5 and play the rook down to d8? This looks interesting, to pin up the 8th rank. And now he can exchange queens, but still I will have the advantage in the endgame because his pieces are tied down on the last rank. I don't see exactly how I'm going to exploit it right away, but I have a good feeling that in some way I will be able to make use of that. So now, let's see. What is his plan? His plan might be to play b5, followed by bishop b7. So what am I going to do against this plan? I play a4. Now I want to tie everything up by playing a5. And he can play b6. And now I can already win a pawn with bishop a6. That might be one option. Another option would be to play bishop c4. And then king g7, knight d5, but maybe bishop c4, bishop b7. And here's also a pawn hanging, so I probably should take this pawn on a6 right away. Okay, he has to take rook takes a6. He can also actually play bishop b7, I'm just noticing, which would be maybe better for him, because then he can put on some pressure on e4. Quite a nice little tactic here, bishop b7. Let's see if he finds this move. But still, I'm up a pawn, and I have a free pawn against one pawn majority on the queen side, so I'm quite in good shape here. And he found his move. Very well spotted. So now I simply protect the pawn here. The king can go to g5, but of course I'm not allowing the king to come to f4, and now playing g3. And now I'm just in the future going to push these pawns forward, and he's going to try to do something with f5. So let's play king d2 first. Knight d7 now. He wants to play f5 obviously, but he's not going to go anywhere. He can play f5, he can play f4, but I'm certainly going to not react and advance my own pawns. So now the question is if I play with a5. Now I don't really want to do this because it would split up my pawns, and I would like to keep them connected in some way or the other. I play king e3, he can play f4, and I simply go back. Alright, I have to keep an eye on knight f6 and knight h5, but I think that's fine, because I can simply protect the pawn with knight e2. But still, black maybe has some action going for him, so I should be careful about that. Bishop c6. This actually allows me to exchange this bishop, and this is in my favor, because if this bishop is exchanged, he cannot stop my pawns that easily, and the knight is a piece who can very well play on one side of the board, so either the king side or the queen side, whereas the bishop likes or is able to play on both sides of the board, because he can move down the board in a very easy manner. So now knight f6, I have to watch out about knight h5, but I can already consider just pushing my pawn here. And I don't see a reason to not do this move, to not play it. I could have also played knight a2, but he's not in this world going to stop this pawn if he takes now on g3. If he takes this pawn knight g3, he's not going to stop this pawn. And his pawn on g4 is simply too slow, and I'm wondering what he's up to, and he's giving up this pawn, and well, now it's just all over here. Knight f6, g3, and I can simply stop this pawn, and it's over. And here I can even play king e3 to not even allow him to have any hopes that he might play his e-pawn forward, and now he has resigned. So let's see what was the critical moment in the game. Probably, well, maybe you can find the beginning of the problems already in the opening, because he was underdeveloped, and then my rook came to d8, and this was already very unpleasant, and here it seems he maybe doesn't even have a good option to protect the pawn g5. Maybe king g6 is actually possible. Maybe king g6, but it's certainly not a move black likes to play. Alright, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments about this game, just post them below, and I will see you soon. Bye.